Pro Ball Spark. You want good words? Data languages.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Count with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
And a good Garrison Financial Friday out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. We can get into all kinds of different topics. Major League Baseball second half will get started tonight. We can hit some of that. You know, Jared and I are not going to be here. Well, Jared's not going to be here all next week. I'm not going to be here until Thursday. So should we – I know you're not prepared for this, and I just literally thought of it. Does that mean we need to make our British Open picks today?
Oh, my God. Because when we – is that next week?
Yeah.
Well, I guess.
Or maybe –
let me scramble and do
Here's the
homework.
deal. Even though part of the first round will be done, when I – hit the airwaves again on Thursday, I'll allow you to text in your picks sometime between now and then read them off.
Okay.
In my best Jared impersonation voice.
Oh, don't even try that. Come on.
Come on.
I about called you a word I can't say.
Oh, that'd have been. And the show's done. Matter of fact, it doesn't matter what our picks are. We won't be back on the air.
We're not on the FM anyways. We can say whatever the hell we want right now.
That's true. Anyhow, we'll do that. We'll do that later. We'll do that next week. So we don't have to worry about that.
I got enough on my plate. I'm trying to get stuff done before vacation.
Big 12 Media Days wrapped up yesterday. Oklahoma was one of the teams represented. Just kind of your thoughts about what Britt Venables had to say, how he said it, the way he looked as he was saying it. I never really, outside of just kind of some generic reasons, guys are getting better, and maybe I just needed a different answer. But when he tells you that, he says the defense will be better, I'd like to specifically know what you think that means. Why? Here's a question that popped into my mind this morning. Who's the best player in the Big 12? Regardless of position, who is the best player in the league? And then after we've heard from everybody who's too low, maybe who's too high in those preseason rankings, and then I want you to look into your crystal ball and tell me that when 2025 rolls around, how many will be in the Big 12, and maybe even who could the new ones be? Quade Cummins in the hunt out in the Corn Ferry Tour Tournament in Colorado. Also, sometime at the end of next week when I get back, we're going to get Ryder Cowan on. He's got some time at the end of next week before his schedule kicks back in the week after that.
Cool.
So he's going to be able to carve out some time Thursday or Friday. I'll let you know when that will be. But a hectic, busy schedule as he finishes out the summer and then also, of course, prepares for his first season at OU. So he's going to be able to come on into next week whenever I get back. He has some time then. So we'll pick his brain. Hopefully at that point he will already have qualified for the USAM, and then he's going to be getting ready to go to Cherry Hills in Denver to do that as well. So good stuff there. Where are you going? Where am I going? And we know our audience is awesome at all kinds of different things. Hopefully they can share some ideas of what to do and where to eat because they've been to maybe these places we're going to. How about that?
I like that.
Listener ideas coming up right here at the top. It is a Garrison Financial Friday. Scotty G not able to make it today. He had some prior engagements that he needed to take care of. So we'll tell you all about what Scott's able to offer at Garrison Financial as we move along throughout the show. As well, 225-9698 is that text line to give us some recommendations of what to do as we go our separate ways at the first of next week. 225-9698 if you're going to be outside the listening area. A couple of ways to stay in touch with the show. You can log on to kadsam.com. You can download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. It has got Big Elk and Paragon TV as well. Man, when we get back, it's going to be like T-minus 1 month from getting it going.
That's right.
With the Big Elks. Need to get Zach in here as well before we get that.
If he has time.
Before we get all the way there.
When does fall camp start?
That's why we need to get him in here the way we know.
Get him on before that starts, yeah.
That's exactly right. Also, Skinny on Sports podcast is available everywhere. If you can get a podcast, you can find the Skinny on Sports. Okay, Jared, how are you this morning?
I'm good.
Are you getting excited yet, even though your flight is at 5 a.m.?
You know, why is it when you are preparing for vacation, my anxiety level goes up because I was packing last night, and I'm sitting there just looking at my bag thinking, what did I forget? I feel like I'm forgetting something, especially when it's on a week-long vacation. But, yeah, I'm excited. I always enjoy some time off, especially at the beach. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It's been raining down there lately. I'm ready to go. How about you?
So where are you going?
I'm going to Navarre Beach.
What is that?
Florida. Everybody knows where Destin's at. Everybody knows where Pensacola's at. It's right in the middle, right between them. So it's on the Panhandle side of Florida. We'll fly into Pensacola and then drive over to Navarre Beach. About an hour drive.
You've been there before.
This is our third year in a row. We enjoyed it so much. So it's good for the kids. It still has the touristy stuff, but it's not as busy as, say, Pensacola or Destin, which are great locations in their own right. But this one's a little bit less busy, but you still get that beach vacation feel. But it is getting more busier. The house we've gone to the last couple years, now there's a house being built right next to it. So it's starting to get some attention. But anyways, looking forward to it. Like I said, should be fun. Nice opportunity to relax. And where are you going?
We are going to Galveston.
Galveston, Texas. You ever been?
Galveston, Texas. I went to Galveston, 15 years ago on a golf trip maybe, if not longer. But we didn't really do anything. We just played golf and then basically all day. It's back when I could actually do that. Those days have passed. But we did that, but we did nothing like actually in the town or on the beach or whatever. So I really don't have any idea. I'm flying blind into this deal.
Well, that's fun though. That's the fun thing, right?
And to
go discover things, and
it's really interesting because the way that I operate most of the time, I would have already had a list of like restaurants, reading reviews, different things to do. But I haven't even looked until like last night to kind of see what it's all about. So yeah, I literally don't have any idea what we're getting ourselves into.
That's fun. Like, I'm still looking for new things to do in Navarre, right? Like for instance, because when you go back to the same place, you kind of go back to the same places. Well, I'm looking earlier this week, I'm looking on Google Maps and looking at point of interest and stuff like that, and I realize right outside of the little neighborhood we stay in, there's a little hot dog shack where you can just get a hot dog and a beer. That's their specialty, hot dog and a beer. It's right there on their sign. I'm like, how did I not know this? That is I could walk there, get myself a hot dog and a beer. Little right there on the beach. So I'm going to, there's little stuff like that. And I'm hoping to discover some new things while I'm there. But that's the fun part about vacation, is going and kind of just figuring out the area and finding new restaurants, fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
most people like to plan it out. Like, today we're doing this. Tomorrow we're doing this. And on
I'm
Wednesday
not quite
we're
there.
doing this.
I'm not quite there, but I do like to have an idea of what's available.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, laying on the beach and doing nothing is always going to be available there.
We got this great location because we stay on what's called the sound side. If you're not familiar with beach terminology, there's the Gulf side, which is the Gulf of Mexico. And the sound side is the water that's between the island and the mainland. So we're on the sound side, and it's not as rough, but you still get the white sand and everything. It's like a lake almost, but still very clear, and you can still find the crabs and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun for the kids. But we're within walking distance of this place called Juana's Pagodas, which has great fish tacos, mixed drinks. It's real beachy themed, outdoor volleyball pits and stuff like that. So every once in a while we'll just go, hey, who wants to walk down to Juana's and get some lunch? And we'll just walk down the beach to it. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's another cool part of the beach, I think, is the living where we live. You don't get that type of food, right?
Yeah, right. When you're in Oklahoma, you're going to get a really good steak. When you're at the beach, get yourself some seafood. There's a restaurant, and they might have them in Galveston. Look this up. I'll look it up for you. It's called Shrimp Basket. The Shrimp Basket. And they, fried shrimp, fish, stuff like that. They have key lime pie, and they'll serve beer in there too.
Yeah, there was shrimp and stuff, I think, was one of the places I noticed last night that a lot of the folks are saying you got to go. I mean, but see, here's the difference, I guess, between me and maybe I didn't read the reviews all the way. But when I hear shrimp or I hear, whatever of that type, I'm not thinking fry it. I'm thinking
you
it's
like it
fresh.
Okay.
I mean, grill it or blacken it or something like that. I'm not necessarily thinking, let's fry up some shrimp.
I did that.
We can do that here.
Our first year I did that. I went to a local seafood market, bought some big,
gigantic,
big shrimp. I asked the guy, who was full on Cajun, by the way, I had to listen intently to hear what he had to say, how to prepare it. And he said, and that translates to put it into a foil pan, tin pan, whatever, 1 can of beer on top of the grill, stir until they're pink.
Really?
That was it. And it was delicious. Delicious.
I like this. I like where this is headed. So anyhow, if anybody's been to either of these places, and you have some recommendations for us, feel free to chime right in on the text line 225-9698. Be more than willing to do that. I tell you what else I did this morning, Jared. Now I've got pictures that I can add to.
What's that?
So ever since we started the process or the idea that we were going to move, my Yoder smoker always lived inside because when my dad died and I commandeered or inherited, I guess, the Yoder, it had like the cover. And when I couldn't figure out how to get the cover back on. Correctly, to the point that I thought I had it on right, and then a storm came and it blew it away. So at that point, it had to live inside because it's got some, like computer parts.
Yeah.
To be able to, run the temperature thing.
Yeah.
So it always lived inside. Then when we decided, you know what, we're going to start looking to move, we packed some things early on in that process. For one, we didn't know that it was going to take as long as it did, but anyway. And so it had to live outside. It was one of the things that got bumped to the outside. Well, then, winter weather happens, and I fired up in the spring, and the temperature isn't kept. The thermocouple has been eliminated.
Oh, darn.
So, no, never fear. Clinton has a place south of town where I could just go in and buy one.
Right.
Then I thought to myself, okay, I'm not going to – why in the world would I replace this when it's just going to have to be outside again? At that point, the egg hadn't been smashed to pieces, so we still had something to grill with, and it just made sense to me. So now that we've moved, I've had about 4 shots at fixing this thing, and it just hasn't quite worked. It's pretty simple, but it's really delicate all at the same time because it's got exposed wires that have to be in a certain spot to make it work. Last night, Jared, with the help of Wyatt and Kara, we finally got the Yoder fixed.
All right.
And so, for our trip, J-Mac and I had been visiting since, we're going together. And he was like, why don't we just kind of smoke some meat, take it down there with us, and then all we have to do is warm it up. We don't have to cook necessarily for a bunch of these meals. We'll have it ready, available, and we're not,
Right.
it's a lot simpler process. I said, that's great. I've got a brisket from a Monty Tucker beef that I have been waiting to cook for almost a year. And by golly, Jared, that piece of meat is on the Yoder as we speak. I cannot wait. I don't know if the brisket's going to make it.
I was going to say, are you cooking it too early? We're going to be picking at it too much.
I don't know if it's going to make the whole thing is not going to make the trip because you'll have to.
Now, are you driving?
Yeah,
Driving the whole way.
Leaving tomorrow morning. Stopping in Fort Worth. They wanted to. Or everybody. Listen. The Triple D spots are always awesome, right? But Kim specifically was like, let's stop at a Triple D spot on the way down there, and so I started pulling up that map, and I found one, and I'd actually seen the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen all the episodes, but it was one that I remember.
It's like 40 seasons.
Yeah,
now.
It's okay. I've busted right through all of them. It's called Fred's Texas Cafe. It's in Fort Worth. The dude is like a chuck wagon looking cook. You may have seen this. He's got a cowboy hat on. Was it Martin Sheen that happened to be in the restaurant when they were filming? Gene Hackman was out there somewhere in New Mexico. I think it was Martin Sheen that was actually there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, it looks like a fun place. For those of you that are Triple D fans, it's the one where the cook kept on saying, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the guy's like, my friend just called me Guy. And then he said, sir, again. And he said, if you call me sir one more time, I'm going to put you in that pot of chili.
There is I've been really getting into the show called Bar Rescue.
Yeah.
And there was one episode where there was a bar rescue at the stockyards in Fort Worth.
Oh, cool.
So I'm kind of turning into, I want to go to Triple D places, but I also want to find these bar rescue places, and do they hold up, or is it just for show? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Because Triple D, they're already great. That's why he's there.
Yeah, and but here's the deal. That doesn't guarantee anything. There's a bunch of those that closed down.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially through COVID.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of great hangouts and bars at stockyards in Fort Worth. But this one, he comes in, he straightens up the staff and how they do everything, and kind of renovates the bar and makes it a really good place. I've always wanted to. There's an episode that was in Fort Worth.
Oh, sweet. That's always just cool.
And that's because there's another one in Arlington.
Okay.
I told my wife's like, hey, and I Googled it up. It's not too far away from where we're staying. We're going down to watch a baseball game in about 2 or 3 weeks. And she's like, no, I just want to go to the baseball game.
Here you go.
Like, well, it's not your birthday.
If you fancy a road trip, Jared, go check out the Naval Museum in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, Mobile's pretty cool. I've driven through it. Over there.
Sounds like if you like that kind of thing. You like World War II stuff. I know that's always fascinating.
I know you're not going there, but I've been to Corpus Christi, and they have a decommissioned what do you call it? Ship, naval ship, air. Why am I drawing a blank? They land the planes on them.
Oh,
aircraft carrier.
Yeah, aircraft
Yeah,
carrier.
it's from World War II. I forget what the ship's name, but it's right there, and it's a museum. You can walk through it. At Corpus Christi, I've done that.
You know, my brother-in-law and sister and their daughters are going to be. I wonder how they're doing because they go to Georgia for 2 weeks every year to visit Vince's grandma. And one of those weeks, they normally stay at Pensacola.
Yeah, I know. We rode around on a boat with them and watched the Blue Angels practice.
Oh, did you really last year?
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Huh. I've forgotten that.
Yeah, he called us up, and we drove over to Pensacola. And
I'll be darned. Yeah, they
rented a
left
boat,
yesterday. What is today? Friday? They left either Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, to give old Vince a call.
To head down there.
This time you come to Navarre, we'll feed you.
See new things.
Yeah.
Also, Quade Cummins. You know, we talked about Ryder all week.
Right.
And how well he played, obviously, on the golf course.
What's Quade up to?
Quade, he was inside the top 20 after round one. Just a couple shots off the lead out in the Korn Ferry Tour event at the TPC Colorado. He hadn't teed off yet today. He's in the second wave, tied 27th, but still just 4 back. Shot 3 under par. He was 5 under, tied for the lead with 3 to go, and then he made a couple of bogeys coming in. But still, he's in a really good spot going into round number 2. A good round today puts him in a great spot for the weekend, and he needs a good week. 91st on the points list right now, which is outside. You got to be, obviously everybody knows the top 30 get a PGA Tour card. Almost just as importantly, not quite, but close. Top 75 retain Korn Ferry Tour full exemption status there as well. So that's something that I'm sure he's keeping his eye on. Just 91st, but a good finish will prop him up right there. So hopefully he can continue to play well on the links today out in Colorado. So good stuff from the local guy. I mean, pretty kind of a golden age of high level golf from Western Oklahoma kids, starting with with Quade, then to Trace, who won the State Am, what Ryder did this summer, and looking forward to what he can do at OU. It's pretty amazing for this the I-40 towns here.
That
over
is
the
cool.
last handful of years to kind of to grow those kids into what they become. Speaking of growing, our man Scotty G can grow your wealth. Garrison Financial down there at 124 North Main Street. Scott's a full financial planner. He'll shop the open market and bring you the best value on your life insurance, on all of your investments. Shoot him an email, scott@soonerwealth.com. As I mentioned, 124 North Main is his address. It's Garrison Financial. This is a Garrison Financial Friday. When we come back, we'll wrap up Big 12 Media Day. Kind of some different questions from around the conference. After hearing from everybody, did anything change? Did your thoughts change? Or are you just kind of ready to see what happens on the field? We'll discuss that next on the Garrison Financial Friday right here on the Skinny on Sports.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
The Skinny on Sports.
Did you know that?
What's that?
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's very true. It's very true. It's Garrison Financial Friday right here on the Skinny on Sports. 1240 AM, 98.1 FM. The Sports Animal. Big 12 Media Day wrapped up yesterday down at Jerry World in Arlington. The other half of the conference is there. Oklahoma was one of those teams. what were your thoughts on what you saw, what you heard from Brent Venables, not only at the podium but on a bunch of different media outlets all throughout the day?
Well, I know one of the questions is, his comments about his defense. And again, we knew going into this we were going to get a bunch of coach speak, so you can take that with a grain of salt. They're not going to say, well, we're going to be okay. We might take a step back, but he seemed obviously, like he usually is, very confident in his defense. He acknowledged, the 6 and 7 season last year, but he, did say that he thought his defense was going to be better. And my question or my reply would always be, well, how could it get any worse, right? But
we keep thinking that about OU's defense over the past handful of years, and it keeps getting worse,
right? But it is Brent Venables. He has a great track record of turning defenses around to being consistently good, top 15 if not better, year in and year out. I'm not saying that they're going to have a top 15 defense. That's not what I'm saying. I do believe that. I think they got the pieces to be good. So when he says that, I kind of believe that. I think he kind of mentioned it up front. Am I mistaken? Where he thought that could be an area where they could be better. I caught it in pieces.
Yeah, I mean, he used just a bunch of different phrases.
Yeah.
Competitive depth leads to better competitive stamina at the end of games. He kind of harped on losing in the fourth quarter last year, which close games and a lot of those losses. Outside of TCU in Texas, every other game was a one-score game. And that did not go Oklahoma's way in the fourth quarter. So, I guess that's one of those things that if you figure, though, the year before, Oklahoma pulled how many games out of the fire? Mm-hmm. And then last year they didn't get any of those. So that it evened out from year to year. So now, maybe you don't lose 5 one-score games. If you win your fair share of those, then all of a sudden, last year's 9-3, and I don't think everybody is quite as worried. But you know what else I don't think would have happened? I don't think everybody would have actually took a full look in the mirror with the 9-3. The same way they didn't after the 10-2 or 11-2 from the year before. It's amazing how similar those two seasons really were, being that spread out in win total from 11 down to 6. But if the dirty secret going into last year was that Oklahoma wasn't an 11-2 team. Lincoln Riley's last year. They were bailed out by otherworldly plays by a quarterback that nobody had ever heard of. Nobody knew what he was until, a long run in the Cotton Bowl cemented him into that job, right? Mm-hmm. But that, that was really the truth of it. Was Oklahoma was way closer to 9-3 both years than what their records ended up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that it worked out that way. But I do think that that losing record and the stigma that carries, being the first one in a quarter century to have a losing record, first year as a head coach, I mean, that's got to make you take a long, long, long look in the mirror, not only yourself but also the players and all that. And so I think in a weird way, those games all going against Oklahoma last year might end up being a blessing in disguise for what's coming. But what I want to know is specifically, sure, we all can say, golly, the defense can't be any worse, or they have to get better. It's Oklahoma. Surely they can't have the 113th ranked defense in the country again. But I would more than likely agree with you. Doesn't seem possible to be that bad again. So then specifically, why won't it be?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
Well, I like your theory on the secondary. I think he did hint that Bowen would get eventually a starting role. I don't think he'll be right out of the gate. I still feel like up front, in some capacity, could be a strength of the defense too, maybe an anchor, with McCullough coming in. Down's still there. There's been other spots that have shined too in that area. But I mean, but it really does. I mean, let me backtrack. I think it really does start with the secondary.
Yeah,
because how many times in the past have we seen the defense get pressure on the quarterback, scrambling, makes a throw, connects because the secondary is nowhere to be found, 10 yards away from the ball. I think that could improve this year. Yeah. And again, it's second year under Venables.
I mean, it has to improve.
The understanding of his defensive scheme is going to be more there than what it was a year ago. You got more, not all, but more Venables guys and less Riley guys. And that's not a knock on any Riley guys that are still there. So please don't start texting me, Weatherford people. I'm not ripping on Downs for that.
Okay, but here's my question. Once again, I mean, what was the biggest criticism of him last year?
Who?
Brent Venables.
He was not a head coach. He
okay,
was
and then you listen to him with Jim, and they ask him specifically, are you going to be involved with the defense? He goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to be involved with calling the defense. No! You're not the damn defensive coordinator.
Right.
You're the head frickin' coach.
Let your defensive coordinator make those calls, and you're the head coach if you want.
Or if you want to be the defensive coordinator, they'll hire a head coach.
Right. Yeah.
I just got that text, and that's where I was going with this. Though I'm not convinced. I mean, he can say all he wants, and maybe here's an idea: if he really can run practice, let Danny Stutzman do the calls. But it without seeing it, when you hear those answers or hear that answer, my mind immediately goes to, did he not learn anything? Did he just not learn a thing, or is he just too stubborn to change or realize that he needs to change? Because I think we can all agree that the way he went about being the head coach a year ago isn't sustainable long-term for success. And I would submit to you that as much as he wants to talk about the stamina of his players, a big reason why they were unable to get it done in the fourth quarters of some of those games is because he was calling the damn defense instead of being the head coach and managing the clock. So that was, when he said that, I mean, I thought, oh, this is such a softball question. He's going to hit this out of the park. Oh, yeah, man, I learned to. Nope. Yeah, I'm going to be over there calling. I'm going to help call the defense. No. I mean, it's got to make OU fans cringe immediately at that. But having said that, to me, though, the guy that I think can, if it turns around, there's one guy. And it's not only from a playing standpoint, it's from leadership, it's from getting everybody where they're supposed to be, and that is Stutzman. Man, when you look back, if you just go look back at that Florida State game, most people remember the running backs going crazy. I remember Stutzman being places that I'd never seen him be before. Flying around. You know what I mean? Just everywhere. Mm-hmm. And if that's what you get with 15 extra practices between the end of the season to the bowl game, that massive improvement in the understanding, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that's what you get in that small window of time, then it's got to make you think, whoa, now we got all spring, all summer, getting more comfortable with what he's supposed to be doing and playing instead of thinking. That I think that in and of itself, with some improved depth up front, and obviously I think the secondary has the ability to be way better.
No, we've talked all this.
That's where it, man. But he to me, he is the guy.
We've talked a lot this week about the OU defense, which is crazy because usually in the past it's, well, let's talk about how great the offense is going to be, and we know what the defense is going to be. And now there's actually some positive thinking about the defense, how it could be better. Well, what about the offense? Is it going to be enough to score enough points?
I mean, would you agree that it was good enough last year?
Statistically, yeah. I mean, the numbers were there. I mean, you're losing how many games do they lose by a field goal? Like
3 and 2 others within a touchdown?
Yeah.
Or 4 and 1 other within a touchdown? Because Kansas State was a touchdown. Tech was a field goal. Baylor was a field goal. West Virginia, was it a field goal? And then there was one more. Anyway, there's 5 within one score.
Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State. That was it. There you go.
But they scored enough. I've always said, and that was my rip on the Riley years was
The end of Bob was the same way.
Yeah, they're scoring enough that if you score an X amount of points, if you're scoring into
If you score 30 points, you shouldn't lose.
You should be winning the game.
Or you darn sure shouldn't lose like 2 of those a year.
Right.
Which was kind of commonplace around here.
So it was okay. So we agree it was good last year. Will it be good this year? I mean, obviously Gabriel's back. If natural progression of things, is he going to be better? You got Stoops, who's just a solid pass catcher, good route runner. Not a big guy, but can run routes. Farouk's back. We've mentioned the running backs. My question is the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe tight end.
That's the tight end.
You got Stogner
depth
back.
at tight end is a huge concern because we just never seen any of those young guys play. Yeah, I mean, until Oklahoma's offense isn't good and some level of good, then how in the world would I ever say it wouldn't be? Mm-hmm. I do think Gabriel, another year, I think we probably underrated the jump that he had to make from UCF to Oklahoma as far as the speed of things around him and being able to to get more comfortable in that. I mean, even him, I think you saw that guy definitely improve and get. So one thing that I do believe that's available to this offense this year that was not last year, and we saw it was not in the Cotton Bowl because of, I mean, Braden Willis is the best quarterback on the team that day, and he was a damn tight end. But one thing that I think is going to be available to this offense this year because of Jackson Arnold is a little bit of quarterback run game. And if you've watched Levy's offenses in the past, I mean, no one has been as good of offensive coordinator as far as the numbers, Lincoln Riley included, as Jeff Levy. When you go back from Central Florida to Ole Miss, you know, the amount of top 5 offenses that he's had in the country is unsurpassed. But he's always had that element of quarterback run game that was taken away from him last year because there was less than zero depth at the quarterback spot. And I think that's something that they may be able to unlock a little bit this season.
Yeah.
That makes everything else so much easier. Mm-hmm. I do think receiver is a concern until you see it. Stoops and Farouk have proven they can make plays. Nobody else has. There's talent there. It's just unearthed talent. So for me, and then those running backs, you know, obviously offensive line is a big part of that. But the running backs look all world. At least in the one game we saw Sawchuk, and Barnes was effective at worst last year. So until OU's offense is causing them to lose games, you know,
yeah.
Until that happens, then I'm going to be, you know, thinking in my mind, okay, they're good enough.
Correct.
Who's the best player in the league?
Best player in the league. Your mind immediately goes to the contenders in the league. I don't want to say Ewers. I don't think that's right. I think this is a trick question. I think you're going to tell me it's a name I've never heard of, and it's somebody on the Kansas State offensive line.
Well, Connor Beebe is certainly up there. On the Kansas State offensive line.
I would be comfortable to say maybe Worthy if he can get better than last year because we've seen what he did his freshman year. I mean, when you look at when you go to best player in anything in the league like this, you immediately go to skill position. But there's no one that just screams, I'm the best player. I mean, Daniels, sure, from Kansas. But did we get enough of an offering from him to think that he is the best player in the league?
Did you see
before his injury?
Did you happen to see his necklace down there?
Yeah, how humble is that guy, right?
That was awesome. You know good and well he's not the one that thought of that. I mean, that's got to be some sort of NIL perk. But it was playing his highlights like an Apple Watch. That was sweet. You know who I would say it is?
Who is it?
It with the caveat that his coaches actually let him play enough. Colin Oliver. I think we saw as a freshman that he was as disruptive as anybody rushing the passer. And then last year it felt like the system or the staff or whatever kind of took his abilities away in a lot of, and he only played like 30 plays a game. I mean, that's so stupid. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that if he would have been used properly a year ago, he would be the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. That's the track, you know what I mean? That's the track that he was really on. And so now with the new defensive scheme up there in Stillwater, letting him be more of an outside linebacker out in space or rushing the pass, just it seems like he's going to kind of have the freedom to do about anything. And to me, the freshman year, you saw he can do about anything on the football field. I think when all is said and done and we get to the end of this season, I think I think there's going to be an immense amount of criticism laid toward Derek Mason and Gundy and that defensive staff from last year when they're going, my goodness, what were you guys thinking? Not having this guy out on the field like he should have been. And I just I think there was a real concern that he was going to follow, not necessarily to OU, but to follow Trace Ford out the door in the transfer portal until the hire was made. And he even kind of alluded to it. The reason I'm here is because I believe in what the goal is now. He kind of used the word now. So it leads me to believe he wasn't. And as he shouldn't be. The dude is unbelievable player. And I think we're about to see his potential unlocked with the change in defensive scheme and letting his athletic ability and his instincts to be a football player really roam all across the field.
Back to OU, looking past this year, they got a big recruit yesterday, Jaden Jackson, from IMG Academy.
Defensive line.
By the way, a teammate of David Stone.
Well, anybody, listen, I was gonna bring this up too. I have said right here multiple times that if this staff cannot get David Stone to be an Oklahoma Sooner, then there was something massively, massively wrong. The kid grew up a Sooner fan. Yes, he's at IMG, but he still calls Oklahoma home. If they couldn't close the deal with him, then there is really something wrong. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, even though it's not official, I will be just woke up with my head sewn to the carpet, shocked if this isn't the bat sign that David Stone is a Sooner.
They've made it. I guess I haven't seen any. I don't have any receipts for this, but I've been told that they have made it clear they want to play together.
Yeah, I mean they play right next to each other on the defensive line at IMG. A lot of people believed that Jaden Jackson just a couple of days ago was a Texas lean. So what changed? Well, is the NIL kicking in at Oklahoma? Or is it David Stone said, Bud, come with me?
Right.
Which also leads to Will Newary, Nigel Smith, McKinley.
Jackson's tweet is very encouraging if you're an OU fan.
Did you see Wyatt Gilmore's tweet?
No.
He was the first defensive line commit, and he said something about power line 24.
Sure, yeah.
And it had a bunch of guys blacked out.
Yep.
Then he fired a tweet yesterday with one of them in, and it was Jaden Jackson. There's still a bunch of guys in the background blacked out.
It's like they're planning something here. It's just good signs. It's been a good recruiting week and a half for OU.
Yeah. Davion Mitchell, the tight end that was 5-star in the 25 class, he reclassified to 24.
People freaking out like it's still a good tight end.
I'm going to make a prediction right now, Jared.
What's that?
About Davion Mitchell.
What you got?
So right now in the state of Oklahoma, there are 2 D1 tight end prospects at Washington on the same team.
Oh, really?
One of which is a Sooner legacy, Cooper Alexander, whose dad is Steven Alexander that played tight end at Oklahoma. And then there's Nate Roberts, who committed to Notre Dame. This so reminds me, and it's going to remind me in a couple of years, if one of those two guys is good. I think Alexander was kind of talking about maybe Iowa State being his locale. Did he end up committing?
He already committed.
Okay, and then Notre Dame is where Nate Roberts went. It's going to remind me so much, especially if it's Cooper Alexander at Iowa State, of Charlie Kolar. And people being, but here's the thing. Just as it was back then, would anybody have traded at the time as they were getting going? Would you have traded Grant Calcaterra for Charlie Kolar?
No,
I wouldn't have either. And then Stogner, the way he started, and before the injuries is what made. And Charlie Kolar is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but the injuries to those two guys that Oklahoma did take made it look even more ridiculous that they didn't take Kolar. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction that there's going to be similar. Not that Davion Mitchell's going to get hurt. I'm not saying that, but there's going to be a reason why they took him over them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Totally agree.
Anyhow, good stuff. Big 12 Media Days. All right, let's take a break. Let's finish it up with this. After you've heard from everybody, after you've seen everybody, their body language, what they had to say down there in Arlington, who's too low and who's too high? Or is everybody are you just waiting to see? We'll talk about that wrapping up a Garrison Financial Friday next, right here on the Sports Animal.
Hello, my name is Scott Garrison. You may remember me as Scott the Barber or just as Ron and Carla's son. I've been involved in our community since opening Scott's Barbershop on the southeast corner of 3rd and Main in 1998. Now I'm back in the same building as Garrison Financial. I started investing in my 20s. I invested through the dot-com crash and the Great Recession. I started caring for other people's money in 2018, and I truly enjoy sitting down with my clients, understanding their wants and needs as well as what keeps them up at night. Whether my friends just want me to invest a little of their savings or want me to work with their tax and legal professionals to strive towards optimal efficiency, we can do it all. I believe communication is key to helping my clients reach their goals. For if we are faithful over a few things, we shall be given more. Contact me at scott@soonerwealth.com. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research, Inc., a broker-dealer member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Garrison Financial and Cambridge are not affiliated. This communication is strictly intended for individuals residing in the states of Colorado, Nevada, Oklahoma, and Texas. No offers may be made or accepted from any resident outside the specific states referenced. Cambridge does not offer tax and legal advice.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back. Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Wrapping up the week on a Garrison Financial Friday. Scott@Soonerwealth.com is Scotty G's email address to get a hold of him. Go down to 124 North Main, right here in Elk City. That's his office. If you're one of those people that like to kind of manage your stuff, but you're just not sure how to get started, he can charge you hourly, build you a plan that then you can go ahead and manage and kind of do what you'd like with that money. He can manage your investments for you overall. And he's really, really good working with your accountant to be able to streamline all the tax ramifications, all the different returns that need to be filed, more than willing and able to work with those folks that are on your side as well. Scott@Soonerwealth.com, 124 North Main, that's Garrison Financial. This is a Garrison Financial Friday. Got distracted.
I know.
Okay, so when you look at the Big 12 media poll, who's too high?
Well, kind of a rehash of when we did this. I think after hearing some stuff, then stuff that you pointed out to me off air, I could kind of answer both questions with one answer. I would actually flip TCU and Tech. TCU's at 5, Tech at 4. I'd almost be comfortable just switching those. It's kind of a safe answer. But so Tech might be a little too high for me.
Yeah, I wonder, Tech at 4, I thought was pretty interesting because I think a lot of people coming out of last year liked what they did. But what is the only is the difference between Tech at 4 and Kansas at 9 their name? Or is Tech just getting a huge benefit of the doubt, even though they were similar? But Tech did beat OU. Tech did beat Texas last year.
I think a lot of that goes into that is what did you do last year? and name.
Yeah, and Kansas just wasn't able to get over the hump in that real signature win, right? I mean, they won. They made it to a bowl. It was a fun game against Arkansas, but you kind of saw what they were. Yeah, this is good, but you can't quite get over. Can't quite win those games. Mm-hmm. Whereas Tech beat the two giants in name for sure of the conference. I wonder if that's why that discrepancy is so massive there between those two teams.
But with TCU, though, I don't know if Chandler Morris is the guy. I know he was QB1 before he got hurt, and the rest is history. But from what you told me, Dykes is pretty confident with what he has coming around him, skill player-wise. They were helped out immensely in the portal, like you said, and they got some dogs. So that that doesn't tell me that they're number 5. That should be 4, maybe even 3.
If they
are truly as good as Dykes thinks they are as compared to last year, I mean that's pretty dang good.
If you listen to somebody and were influenced by what the coach said, TCU would be the team that you think is too low. Mm-hmm. Knowing what they did a year ago and just listening to what Sonny Dykes had to say about his team, and man, if that was the only thing you would base it on, like moving people up and down is what you heard this week, that is one that's like, whoa. I mean, when he said that to Mark and Kale, I just kind of went, huh? Are you kidding me? Somebody tell him he played for the national championship last year at TCU. The Chandler Morris thing is super interesting. We didn't really see much of him here other than a run or two. You know what I mean? Not enough to form any sort of opinion on what he might or might not be.
Riley brought him in wrinkle plays. But yeah. We didn't really understand how good he was.
No, we don't have any idea how good he is. But the fact that he beat out the Heisman runner-up, it's got to make you think something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Either Sonny Dykes is as good a prognosticator at the quarterback spot as Mike Gundy, which is not very good, and circumstances help him out, as they have a couple of times up in Stillwater. Or, man, this Chandler Morris guy must be pretty good. The one thing that should give you pause.
Or did Dykes just get lucky?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Gundy's got lucky a bunch of times.
Right.
Because it's like, he picked this guy over that guy? What the heck? Is he even watching practice?
Is it the equivalent of that golf shot you talked about earlier in the week?
Oh, yeah, KJ's golf shot.
And then saying, oh, I meant to do that.
I don't know. I mean, here's the deal. That's the one thing about TCU. If it wasn't pure luck, and TCU started a better quarterback at the first of the year than what they ended up with, then I promise you they're way too low.
Exactly.
They need to be 1.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's the case. And so, I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you pay attention to this stuff like we do and listen to what they say and try to get some sort of read on, Sonny Dykes was by far the one where you went, whoa, that guy's pretty confident in what he's got back. And then you put that back to with what they did a year ago. Like, man, it's not what we're supposed to say, because this is, it's not why a show like this exists. But, and I get the sense of this from a lot of people, if you just listen to, no one really has a feel for anybody in the Big 12. I mean, if there was ever well, gosh, I just want to see a first couple of games to really start to form an opinion, it's this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, is there anybody out there listening that is 100% confident that Texas is going to win the league? I don't get the sense that there is, even from Texas fans. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, when we saw this poll and you ask any OU fan, they would have said, Big 12, we're talking about the national championship here. We're not talking about the Big 12. Yeah. All right, put it up.
Yeah.
Put it on the press box at Owen Field. Yeah, you can mark that. I don't get the sense that anybody's doing that this year whatsoever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just – and so when that happens, it really does become a crapshoot. And are we destined for another year where the 4th and the 8th picked teams are playing in Arlington?
And it wouldn't surprise me.
And you know what's interesting? Since the Big 12 title game came back in 2017, the first one with OU and TCU, every single year since, there's been a new participant in the game. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
OU TCU, OU Texas, OU Baylor, OU Iowa State, OSU Baylor, Kansas State TCU. So if that trend continues, I would say that bodes well for Tech. Or one of the newcomers. Or Kansas, I guess.
Kansas, yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like of all the years of the Big 12, this is one of the ones that is just such a toss-up in my mind. Just a complete toss-up. I mean, is it out of the realm of in your mind? They're picked 11th. Is it out of the realm of possibility for you to see BYU and that game in November with Oklahoma going out there really mattering?
I could see that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Exactly what I'm saying. You know, Iowa State's kind of been the darlings. Now they're back in their familiar spot toward the bottom of the conference. Is that, everybody not – that offense was so bad it's hard to give them much credit, but that defense is still really good year in and year out.
I think it's funny that 3 out of the 4 newcomers to the league are 11 or lower.
Well,
but then there's Central Florida, who people say, they might be all right. Well, they're at 8. And there's always that, they got to get used to the conference. This is a new conference and all that stuff. What? Who's to say the conference has to get used to them? And I'm really pointing out BYU. They're a different brand. I mean, it's a different breed because of the 2-year mission trip they go on. They come back. We've talked about this. But there they are at 11. That's where I think some teams could get snake bit by going to Provo, OU included. I mean, especially if it's a night game. That place can get pretty crazy, even in Mormon country. I've seen some games over there on TV, and it impresses me, like the atmosphere that they can produce. And then again, everything I said about, they're just a couple years older. So at 11, I guess that's another one I'm looking at is BYU. Are they better than 11? Could they be? Potentially, sure. Same thing about Central Florida. That place over there is pretty crazy. They count, the bounce house? So, yeah, they got to get used to the Big 12, but the Big 12 better get ready for them, too. That's all I'm saying.
No.
I'm not scared of Cincinnati or Houston. It's just –
I feel like they're in transition.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma, I think it's a big reason why a lot of people think Oklahoma bounces back with a pretty good season. It's not necessarily because of how good they might be or how much improved they might be. The schedule is one of the easiest, if not the easiest looking schedules in the history of the school. And I think Oklahoma State is in that same boat. Oklahoma State's schedule could be way, way harder than what it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they avoid TCU, they avoid Texas, they avoid Tech, and get all 4 newcomers. And K-State's at home, and OU's at home. BYU's at home. You look at that road schedule, at Iowa State, sure. At West Virginia, meh. At UCF, meh. At Houston, meh. I mean, everybody in the league would take that road schedule right now and run with it. Mm-hmm. So, I think both schools if they're somewhat what they have become accustomed to being, ought to be in the top half of this league, if not the top 3 or 4. And, all of a sudden, November the 4th looks a lot more important than maybe it did a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
All right, that'll do it for us. I'll be back Thursday. Jared will be back a week from Monday. It's been the Skinny on Sports on the Garrison Financial Friday.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way back. Good